The security camera catches 13 seconds. A man, a teenage girl, walking toward a house in suburban Florida. His hand rests on her shoulder, protective, familiar. He glances left, then right, checking. They go inside. She never comes out. But here's what separates this from every other missing girl case you've seen. This man isn't a stranger who snatched her off the street. He's her stepfather. Been in her life for 3 years. Taught her to parallel park. Walked her down the aisle at his own wedding to her mother. And 7 years before this footage was recorded, he made her real father disappear. This is the story of a man who spent 7 years building a family so he could destroy it from the inside. And when you understand his method, the patience, the planning, the performance, you'll never look at the helpful neighbor the same way again. March 22, 2024. 13 seconds of footage. After that, Brooke Holloway vanishes. 16 years old. Junior at Riverview High School. 3.8 GPA. Volleyball player. Wanted to study nursing. The responsible one, her friends said. Always answered texts. Never missed curfew. Told her mom everything. That afternoon, she came home from school with Ray Carver, her stepfather. Security camera mounted on the house captures them crossing the front yard. 13 seconds. In those 13 seconds, Brooke is alive. Walking beside a man she trusts. A man who's been part of her life since she was 11. A man her mother married when Brooke was 14. After those 13 seconds, Brooke Holloway is never seen again. For hours later, Ray calls police. Frantic. She vanished from her bedroom. Window open. Phone on the bed. Where did she go? Wrong question. The right question, where did he take her? Even better question, why did it take 7 years? Let me take you back to 2017. Brooke is 9. Her father, Nathan Holloway, works pharmaceutical sales. Mother, Denise, medical assistant. Nice house. Quiet neighborhood. Church on Sundays. Backyard barbecues. Picture-perfect suburban life with a mortgage they'd been steadily paying down. Nathan traveled for work sometimes. Short trips. Few days max. March 2017, he leaves for a business trip to Atlanta. Kisses his wife. Hugs his daughter. Says he'll be back Thursday. Never comes back. Rental car found abandoned at a rest stop in South Georgia. Wallet inside. Suitcase inside. Nathan not inside. Police investigate. No witnesses. No signs of struggle. No body. Case goes cold. Whispers start. Maybe Nathan ran off. Started over somewhere. Abandoned his family and their shared financial obligations. Denise refuses to believe it. But as years pass, even she starts to wonder. Then Ray Carver shows up. Here's what everyone believed. Ray Carver was Nathan's coworker who stepped up to help a grieving widow. Worked at the same pharmaceutical company, different department. Met Denise once at a company event years earlier. After Nathan disappeared, Ray reached out. Sympathy card first. Then flowers on what would have been their anniversary. Then offers to help around the house. Fixing the fence, cleaning gutters, mowing the lawn they could no longer afford to have professionally maintained. Patient. Never pushed. Let Denise grieve. Let Brooke adjust. Friend first. Then something more. 3 years after Nathan vanished, Ray and Denise got married. The neighborhood thought it was beautiful. Widow finds love again. Daughter gets a father figure. Life insurance payout helped them keep the house. Everyone moves forward. Everyone believed Ray Carver was a good man. Wrong. Ray Carver wasn't a good man who happened to help a grieving family. Ray Carver was the reason the family was grieving. And the proof sat in a lockbox in his old storage unit for 7 years. Waiting to be found. Let me tell you who Ray Carver really was. 48 years old when arrested. Never married before Denise. No children. No criminal record. Background checks came back clean as morning light. Church on occasional Sundays. Coached Little League one summer. Donated to local charities. Helped elderly neighbors carry groceries up their stairs. Remembered birthdays. Remembered names. The kind of man people described as one of the good ones. The kind mothers pointed to, saying, "Why can't you find someone like him?" The kind you'd trust with your house keys during vacation. The kind you'd let pick your daughter up from school without hesitation. But Ray had a pattern no one saw because no one was looking. He watched people. Collected information like other men collected stamps. Studied routines. Relationships. Vulnerabilities. Weak points in the architecture of normal life. And he waited. Patience wasn't a virtue for Ray. It was a weapon he'd spent decades sharpening. When investigators finally searched his old house in Brandon, the one he kept empty for years, the one he told Denise he couldn't sell because the real estate market was down, even as property values in the area climbed, they found a fireproof safe hidden behind drywall in the garage. Inside that safe, a lockbox. Inside that lockbox, 7 years of obsession. Photographs. Dozens of them. Screenshots printed from Denise's social media going back to 2015. Photos of Nathan at company events. Photos of Brooke at volleyball games, taken from the bleachers where hundreds of other parents sat unnoticed. Photos of the Holloway house from across the street. And one photograph that changed everything. Nathan Holloway at a gas station in Valdosta, Georgia. Dated March 14, 2017. The day Nathan disappeared. Photo taken from inside a vehicle parked nearby. Nathan walking toward his rental car, coffee cup in hand. No idea he's being photographed. No idea the man behind the camera has been planning this moment for 2 years. No idea these are the last hours of his life. Here's what investigators believe happened. Ray Carver had been watching the Holloway family since at least 2015. Saw Denise at a company barbecue. Something about her caught his attention. Maybe it was her. Maybe it was the idea of the family she represented. The happy marriage. The young daughter. The suburban house with equity building in it. The life Ray had never built for himself. Whatever it was, Ray became fixated. But Ray was patient. Ray understood you don't take something by force. You take it by removing obstacles. The obstacle was Nathan. Ray knew Nathan's travel schedule from office conversations. Pharmaceutical sales meant regular trips. Predictable routes. Hotels booked weeks in advance. Pharmaceutical sales reps talk shop constantly. Territories. Routes. Client lists. It's not classified information. It's conversation filler at company lunches. Nathan mentioned once that he always stopped at the same gas station in Valdosta on drives to Atlanta. Best coffee on a 75, he said. Probably forgot he said it 5 minutes later. Ray never forgot anything. March 2017. Ray called in sick for 3 days. No one checks where you go when you're sick. Just assumes you're home with the flu. He drove to Valdosta. Waited at that gas station. Watched Nathan pull in exactly like he knew he would. What happened next is technically unknown because Nathan's body has never been found. But the photograph in that lockbox proves Ray was there. Watching. Waiting. And Nathan never made it to Atlanta. Ray drove back to Florida. Went to work Monday like nothing happened. Like he hadn't just eliminated the obstacle standing between him and the life he wanted. Then, and this is the part that still makes investigators pause, he waited 7 months before reaching out to Denise. 7 months. Most people would get impatient. Most people would make mistakes. Ray understood the long game was the only game worth playing. He sent a sympathy card through company mail. Just wanted you to know I'm thinking of you and Brooke. If you ever need anything. Denise didn't respond at first. Ray waited another month. Sent flowers on what would have been their anniversary, the kind of gesture that shows he's been paying attention to dates most people wouldn't remember. Note attached. I know this day must be hard. You're not alone. Denise called to thank him. They talked for almost an hour. Ray listened. Comforted. Said exactly the right thing. Nathan loved you too much to leave. I knew him. He was a good man. Something terrible happened to him. All true. Something terrible did happen to Nathan. Ray just didn't mention he was the one who did it. The courtship took 3 years. Ray never rushed. Helped with yard work. Fixed leaking faucets and the garage door that always stuck. Told Brooke stories about her dad from work, careful, crafted anecdotes that made Nathan seem present even in his absence. He didn't try to replace Nathan. He honored Nathan's memory. That's what made Brooke trust him. That's what made Denise fall in love with him. The man who murdered her husband spent 3 years pretending to grieve alongside her. And she believed every word because why wouldn't she? He seemed like one of the good ones. June 2020. Wedding. Brooke was 14. Bridesmaid in a lavender dress. In the photos, she's smiling. Ray's hand rests on her shoulder, the same gesture that would appear in security footage 4 years later when he walked her into that house for the last time. 3 years after the wedding, Ray played the perfect stepfather. Drove Brooke to school. Helped with homework. Attended volleyball games. Contributed to the household expenses. Stable income. Life insurance from Nathan's death had helped with the mortgage, but Ray's salary kept things comfortable. But Brooke started noticing things in the months before she disappeared. Ray asking too many questions about her friends. Which ones had parents who worked late? Which ones had empty houses after school? Ray checking her phone when he thought she wasn't looking. Ray standing in her doorway at night. Just watching. She mentioned it to her friend Aaliyah once. He's just protective. That's what stepdads do, Aaliyah said. Brooke wanted to believe that. But something felt wrong. Couldn't articulate it. Just knew that sometimes when Ray looked at her, it wasn't the way a father looks at a daughter. She was right. But by the time anyone listened, it was March 22, 2024. If you're still watching and wondering how someone misses signs this obvious, hit that subscribe button for the last moment. We cover the cases where predators hide in plain sight. Because the worst monsters don't look like monsters. Denise was working a double shift at the hospital. Wouldn't be home until after midnight. Extra hours to help with expenses they were saving for Brooke's college fund. Ray picked Brooke up from volleyball practice. They stopped for groceries. Normal routine. Nothing unusual. They came home. Security camera shows them crossing the yard. Ray's hand on Brooke's shoulder. Ray looking left. Then right. Then left again. Not the way someone checks for traffic. The way someone checks if anyone's watching. They go inside. 4:52 p.m. Brooke texted her mom, "Home safe. Love you." Last anyone heard from her. 6:30 p.m. Brooke's friend Aaliyah tried to FaceTime. No answer. 7:15 p.m. text message. Nothing. 9:45 p.m. Aaliyah called Denise at work. Worried now. Denise called home. Ray answered. Confused even. Brooke went to her room after dinner around 6. He'd been watching TV. Knocked on her door once. She said she was tired. Assumed she was sleeping. Check on her. Silence. Then Ray's voice changed. Her window's open. She's not here. 10:07 p.m. Denise called 911. Police found Brooke's window open from the inside. Phone on the bed. Wallet in her backpack. Shoes by the door. If she left voluntarily, she left barefoot with nothing. No money. No way to contact anyone. Ray's story stayed simple. Dinner together. She went to her room. He watched TV. Fell asleep on the couch. Woke up to Denise's call. House was clean. No signs of struggle. Nothing out of place. Kitchen spotless. Living room undisturbed. Initial theory, runaway. 16-year-old girl. Open window. Maybe sneaking out to meet someone. But Denise knew Brooke. Brooke didn't sneak out. Brooke would never leave her phone. Something was catastrophically wrong. And the person who knew exactly what was wrong stood in the living room giving his statement. Helpful. Concerned. Playing the worried stepfather perfectly. Investigation circled for 10 days. No witnesses. No strange cars in the neighborhood. No evidence of forced entry or abduction. Then Denise remembered something. Brooke had an Apple Watch. Birthday gift from Aaliyah 3 weeks earlier. Wore it everywhere, to school, to practice, to bed. It wasn't in her room. Wasn't anywhere in the house. Denise logged into the family's Apple account. The watch had pinged a location. March 22nd. Starting at 6:47 p.m. 3 hours of location data from a house in Brandon, Florida. An address Denise recognized immediately. Ray's old house. The one he said he couldn't sell because the property market was down. The one that had been sitting empty for years while surrounding home values climbed. Warrant obtained. Search executed April 3rd. What they found inside would become the most damning evidence in the case. Garage. Behind a stack of old paint cans. Blue tarp folded neatly. Blood on it. Testing confirmed, Brooke's blood. Backyard. Cadaver dogs hit on 3 separate areas of disturbed soil. All recently dug within the past 2 weeks. All empty. Whatever had been there was gone. Moved somewhere else Ray had prepared in advance. In the garage wall behind a utility shelf, investigators noticed the drywall didn't match the rest. Newer, cleaner edges. They cut through. Fireproof safe bolted to the studs. Inside the safe, lockbox with combination lock. They cut it open. 7 years of obsession. Photographs organized by date in manila folders. Screenshots printed from Denise's Facebook and Instagram going back to 2015. Photos of Nathan at company events, standing in groups where you'd never notice who else was in the frame, watching. Photos of Brooke at volleyball games, taken from the far end of bleachers where any parent could sit unnoticed. Photos of the Holloway house from across the street. Different seasons. Different times of day. Documentation of their entire life. And one photograph that prosecutors would call the smoking gun. Nathan Holloway at a gas station in Valdosta, Georgia. Timestamp on the digital file, March 14, 2017. The day Nathan disappeared. The day he was supposed to be driving to Atlanta. The day he never arrived. Stay with me, because what comes next will show you exactly how a predator operates when he has nothing left to lose. Drop a comment below. Did you see where this was going? Ray Carver arrested April 5, 2024. Charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Nathan Holloway. Brooke Holloway. Here's what investigators believe happened that afternoon. After Brooke went to her room, Ray waited. Sometime around 6 p.m., he entered. Incapacitated her, method unclear, possibly drugged her dinner. Then opened her window from the inside. Staging. Carried her through the back of the house to his truck parked behind the fence where no security camera could see. Drove 20 minutes to the Brandon house. What happened there remains unknown because Ray has never said a word. The watch pinged until 9:43 p.m. Then it went dead. Blood on the tarp. Cadaver hits in the backyard. Evidence tells investigators Brooke died at that house. But her body has never been found. Ray moved her somewhere else. Somewhere he's never revealed. And that's the cruelest part of this entire story. November 2024. Trial. For weeks, prosecution presented the photographs, the blood evidence, location data from Brooke's watch, the timeline placing Ray in Valdosta the day Nathan vanished. Defense argued circumstantial evidence. No bodies. No witnesses. No confession. Jury deliberated 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. 2 counts first-degree murder. Life without parole. But the verdict didn't bring what Denise needed most. Ray has never told anyone where Nathan and Brooke are buried. Not during interrogation when detectives sat across from him for 14 hours over 3 days. Not during trial when the prosecutor asked him directly in front of the jury. Not when the judge gave him one final opportunity to speak before sentencing. Not when Denise stood at the podium during victim impact statements and begged him, tears streaming down her face, to give her family back. He sat there with the same calm expression he'd worn in the wedding photos. The same expression captured on security footage walking Brooke into the house. The same mask he'd maintained for 7 years while pretending to be someone he never was. He knows exactly where they are. He will never tell. Under the law, he doesn't have to. Constitutional right to remain silent. And he's using that right to inflict one final punishment on the woman he claimed to love. Denise will never have a funeral. Never have graves to visit. Never have the closure of knowing her husband and daughter are at rest. She's hired private investigators. Consulted with search and rescue volunteers. Walked the woods around Ray's Brandon property with cadaver dogs 3 times since his conviction. Nothing. The bodies were moved. Somewhere Ray prepared during those 7 years of planning. Somewhere he scouted while everyone thought he was the helpful neighbor. Somewhere that might never be found. Denise's victim impact statement. You came to my house with flowers. You told me Nathan loved me too much to leave. You held my daughter when she cried about her father. You taught her how to drive. And the whole time you knew. You knew because you did it. I let you into my home. I let you raise my child. I will never forgive myself for not seeing what you were. But I need you to understand something. I will find them. I don't care if it takes the rest of my life. I will find my husband and my daughter and I will bury them properly. And when I do, your name will mean nothing. You'll be a footnote. They mattered. You never did. Ray watched her speak. When she finished, he turned forward. Never looked at her again. Ray Carver passed every background check. No criminal record. No red flags. Went to church occasionally. Patient. Helpful. Said all the right things. Waited 7 years to complete what started with a photograph at a company barbecue. There is no system that catches someone like Ray. No database that flags a man who screenshots a woman's social media for 2 years. No algorithm that notices when someone takes sick days during their coworker's business trip. No warning system that tells a widow the man sending flowers is the reason she's grieving. We want to believe evil is obvious. That predators look like predators. That danger announces itself. But Ray looked like safety. Looked like second chances. Looked like the answer to Denise's prayers after losing her husband. And that's exactly what he wanted to look like. Think about the patience required. Saw Denise at a barbecue in 2015. Decided he wanted her life. Not her exactly, her life. The family. The stability. The home with equity building in it. The thing he'd never built himself. Instead of accepting it wasn't his to take, he spent 2 years watching. Learning. Planning. Killed Nathan in 2017. Waited 7 months before sending a sympathy card. Spent 3 years becoming Denise's friend before becoming her husband. Spent 3 more years as Brooke's stepfather before taking her too. 7 years from first photograph to final act. Most people can't stick to a diet for 7 weeks. Ray stuck to a murder plan for 7 years. Brooke knew something was wrong. Told her friend. Said Ray looked at her in a way that didn't feel right. Said his questions were too specific about her friends' schedules, their empty houses, their routines. Couldn't explain it. But felt it. No one listened because Ray was so good at being trustworthy. So good at being patient. So good at waiting for the perfect moment. Brooke's instincts were right. Her gut was screaming. That uncomfortable feeling she couldn't articulate was her subconscious recognizing a threat her conscious mind couldn't identify. She ignored it because everyone around her said he's just protective. That's what stepdads do. If someone tells you they have a bad feeling about someone but can't explain why, listen to them. Pay attention to who you let into your home. Who you let near your children. The man who shows up after tragedy with flowers and patience and kindness. Because sometimes the person who looks like a savior is the reason you needed saving in the first place. Nathan and Brooke Holloway are still missing. Bodies never found. Denise Holloway still lives in that house in Riverview. Can't bring herself to leave. Says she keeps expecting Brooke to walk through the door. Keeps expecting to wake up from this nightmare. Every morning, she watches the security camera footage from March 22nd. 13 seconds. Her daughter walking across the yard. Ray's hand on her shoulder. Ray looking left, then right, then left again. Door opening. Door closing. Denise watches those 13 seconds searching for something she missed. Some sign. Some signal. Some moment where Brooke looked at the camera and said, "Help me." There's nothing. Brooke looks safe. Looks normal. Had no idea these were her last moments of freedom. Ray Carver will die in prison knowing exactly where Nathan and Brooke are buried. And he will never say a word. That knowledge is his final act of control. His final victory. He took everything from Denise. Even from behind bars, he's still taking. Still punishing. Still winning. The law gave him that power. Right to remain silent. And he's using it the way he used everything else as a weapon. This is the last moment. Where we expose how predators don't look like monsters. They look like the helpful neighbor who remembers your birthday. If this case made you think twice about who you trust, hit that like button. Subscribe so you never miss another investigation into how evil hides in plain sight. Share this video. Because somewhere, someone has that bad feeling about someone in their life. And they need to know their instincts might be saving them. Comment below. Have you ever had a gut feeling about someone that everyone else dismissed? What happened? If you've ever had that feeling about someone in your life, trust it. Talk to someone. Document what you notice. Don't let anyone convince you your instincts are wrong just because the person seems nice. Because Ray seemed nice. Ray seemed perfect. And Brooke had that feeling. Told someone. No one listened. Now she's gone. If you're watching this and something in your life feels wrong, even if you can't explain it, even if everyone else thinks you're overreacting, trust yourself. Because Brooke trusted the wrong person. And the person she should have trusted was herself. We'll see you in the next one.